Hey everyone, and welcome to Divine Downloads. I am your host, Cassandra Bodzak, and this show is all about giving you the spiritual and strategic advice to help you create a life that lights you up. And today you might want to buckle up because we are talking about some pretty out there topics, but I just felt this overwhelming urge to share this and excitement to share this with you. We are approaching this weekend the day out of time on the Mayan calendar on July 25th, this Saturday, as well as July 26th is the Mayan New Year and the Galactic New Year. And so I wanted to share a little bit about how you can utilize this weekend's massive energy portal opening, and also probably it will illuminate why I have chosen this weekend to host my Clarity, Miracles, and Momentum retreat, which if you're still on the fence about, I highly suggest joining us for. Everything will be recorded, so if there is something during the weekend you can't make, you can only make part of the sessions, you will receive recordings of the entire weekend afterwards, so that you can really use it. We're moving forward towards the Lion's Gate as well here. So this is really a time of quantum shifting and quantum manifesting. And there are so many tools. That's what the whole weekend is set up for, the tools and the rituals to really leap into this portal. So alas, without further ado, let's dive in and let's talk about what does this mean. So first of all, little backstory. So interesting. When I get these hits to create things, especially when it was like this retreat, I got this hit that it had to be this weekend. It had to be this weekend. And this weekend was somewhat inconvenient for me just because we're leaving on a family vacation next week and we just moved in. So things have been really crazy. Seemed like a nutty time to try to do a virtual retreat. However, it was so strong and so clear that this literally, it was like the universe circled this weekend on a map for me and was like, this is the only weekend. You got to do it this weekend. So, when that happens, I listen. And as I was, doing my research for this past new moon in Cancer and talking about that, I kept on thinking, there is a portal. There's a Mayan portal going on. And I think it's going to be this weekend. I think it's this weekend. So I didn't know about this portal and then plan the retreat. It was, I heard something special about this weekend. I knew it was when I absolutely had to do the retreat based on my divine guidance. And then afterwards, I kind of got this little thread of there's a portal. And so naturally, I went onto the internet and I was looking up Mayan portal. What's going on? I couldn't find anything. And then what happened was a couple days later, I saw out of the blue, it hit me. It was like a random person I don't even follow on Instagram that was sharing about this day out of time. And so I was like, this is it, because I have been talking so much. It's been crazy. I know you guys have probably heard it on some of my recent podcasts and my workshops. Timeline hopping and the multiverse and how you can really leap to a different trajectory has been so present for me really recently. I've always, it's probably been 8 years now, honestly, since I've had my experience starting to go into the Akashic Records and seeing different lifetimes and timelines and things that were accessible. My viewpoint of time from linear to more of a multiverse has also grown, and that's probably a whole different episode for you guys. But timelines have been something that I've been very well aware of, and that we at any point have that opportunity to kind of leap. But there are more auspicious, same thing why we set intentions on new moons and we release on full moons, and we pay attention to these energetic portals, because there are certain times where the planets align and the energy aligns that makes it so much easier for all of us, and not just people like me who've been practicing this and connecting with these other dimensions for a while, but all of us, to really make a timeline leap. And what is a timeline leap? Well, if you think about timelines as a choose your own adventure game, right? If you ever had those books or anything growing up where it was kind of like a video game, even where it was like, does Sally decide to go left or go right? right? And if she goes left, then one thing's happen. And if she goes right, the other things happen. It's like, does Sally decide to go to law school, or does she go start her music career or whatever? And then if she goes to law school, one thing happens. She goes to the music career, another thing happens. Our life is like that. At every turning point in our life, there's a split, right? There's the part of us that chooses this and the part of us that chooses the other one, right? And the adventure that we're conscious to is the adventure that we have chosen, right? And so there is that part of us that it's almost like our different kind of particles, right, that chose the other way, right, or a different version of us that may have chose the other way might be simultaneously existing. If this is getting too sci-fi for you, then just bear with me, because you can also think about this as manifesting, right? So if you think about it, think about where your life is right now, and maybe imagine your life as like the median timeline, the middle timeline. There are timelines below it, there are timelines above it, even though this is really not like an above below thing, but just for the visual of it. So you can think about the above, so maybe there's a timeline above yours that's you have a more abundance mentality, so you make more money. Maybe there's a timeline above you where you are aligned with your soul partner. Maybe there's a timeline above that where you're fully living the full expression of your being. Maybe there's a timeline above that where you're truly living that big, juicy dream career that you want, right? And maybe there's a timeline below the one you're at where you've done no personal self-help growth, where you've really allowed yourself to kind of stay in mediocrity and complacency. Maybe there's a timeline even below that where you allowed your fear thoughts or addictions or something in your childhood programming to sabotage your life, and you're not, not to get, positive and negative, but there are all these different options, right, for how your life could have been. There are also, not to get even more confusing, but of course, when we think about past lives and future lives, it's really just past and future in relation to our current consciousness, right? Which is why if you've ever done an Akashic Records deep dive, or you've ever done a past life regression, you can kind of go back to or go forward into different places and experience what's going on there. We will be going into the Akashic Records on the Friday night of the retreat to really tap into what different timelines have to share with us and what wisdom they have to give. So, and this is also a practice you can do on your own if you know how to go into the records, or if you book a session with someone that does that specifically, you can do that. But anyway, all that to say, I wanted to give that kind of groundings to talk about the day out of time. So the day out of time based on the Mayan calendar the Mayan calendar is based on 13 moon cycles of 28 days, right? Which seems to me way more aligned, right? If you follow me and you follow the moons, it makes a lot more sense than the Roman calendar that we have. So if you do 13 moons, 28 days each moon, there's 364 days. Hello, ladies. It's the same as our period cycles, our moon cycles, right? Our bodies, our energy as females are way more aligned with the Mayan calendar. So we have this day out of time, which is like the 365th day, right? And so the new year starts on Sunday, starts on the 26th. And it's both the Mayan New Year and the Galactic New Year because they aligned it with Sirius, the galactic center, and its positioning. And so there's this day out of time, and it is a day that literally, since the ancient Mayans, was observed as this day where you were in timelessness, where you were in the quantum field of possibilities and able to leap into different trajectories or different timelines, right? And so if you think about it this way, and I want to read a little bit. So this is reading from, there's a a few different websites that talk about the history around this. I just find it really interesting the words they use. So you can hear both my words and their words. So it says, on July 25th, the day prior to the new year, we experience the day out of time. It's the one extra day out of the 13-moon calendar where we exist outside of linear time. We exist outside of linear time. This is the day where we can truly tap into multidimensional energy and expand in higher levels of consciousness. When our perception of linear time is dissolved and enter the void space, we allow ourselves to go to 0 point and ready to be birthed into a new cycle the following day. Hello guys, this is a massive portal for us. This is a massive portal for us to tap into timelessness, and to be able to choose the timeline we want to take for this next galactic new year. For all of you that listen and watch this, resonate with the moon cycles, that resonate with the different portals I've talked about over the years, this is for you. This is our calendar. This is the Lightmaker, Star Being, multidimensional, divine light calendar, right? And of course it has a day that's out of time. Of course it has a day that celebrates timelessness in the quantum field. So I want to encourage you to utilize this day this weekend. This is so powerful, and we're going to be really utilizing it in the Clarity, Miracles, and Momentum retreat. So if you can make it happen to be there for that, then I highly suggest that. I'll put all the links below, and we're going to be literally doing this, where we're getting really clear on what timeline we're jumping to, on what we're ready to solidify, and doing these steps necessary to anchor ourselves into that new timeline for Sunday. For Sunday, when we arrive there, when we start the galactic new year from that new timeline, right? But just like manifesting, anchoring yourself into a new timeline requires you being fully committed to that timeline. Requires you showing up as you're in that timeline while you're doing the leaping, because the leaping looks like you seeing still pieces of your old timeline or your current timeline as you're watching this, right? And also pieces of this next timeline that you're jumping into, and consciously being able to stay anchored into that new timeline while pieces of your current timeline are still dissolving, right? So we're going to be talking a lot about that on the retreat, and doing a lot of work around that as well. The other thing I wanted to share with you as well is that we're in a 13-year cycle right now, according to the Mayans, of the white wizard. And so what does this mean? This is stepping into self-mastery and really owning your own magic. We're in, they call it, I think, the time of the great battle, but what it really is our etheric consciousness and our earthly consciousness trying to intermingle and trying to integrate with each other. So we're in this cycle right now where the work that we're doing as humans here on the planet is us really integrating from the stars, the divine, our higher power, integrating this etheric knowledge and these etheric powers and energy and shifting and magic that's available to us with our earthly realm, with our earthly presence, with our earthly goals and our earthly jobs and our earthly relationships. And so that is part of the assignment, which is, again, exactly what I do in my, what I'm doing in this retreat and what I do in my practical magic course. It's anchoring in both, okay, this is the timeline, having that experience, getting to go visit and see things and receive downloads, and then also integrating and saying, okay, well, what are the practical things I'm going to have to do in my life to anchor into this new reality that I am committed to, right? And so I'll read you a little bit again, just so you hear other words. So this is how the Mayans described the quote-unquote great battle and the new cycle of the white wizard. Realize that you have the power to create the future by the power of your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, and create a field of energy and influences energy that influences the energy around it. And so you, again, of course, are the creator of your reality. Now, if you can grasp that and feel the truth of that, then you are at the beginning of the process. We're all entering higher levels as we shift into the ages in July, going into the age of the new shamans and the white wizard wave, which is going until 2032. And it's also called the Great Battle. The white wizard is all about self-mastery, right? So it's coming back down to earth and into solid practice of self-mastery so you can be a superhuman, magical creator. So this is, it's just such a potent time, just such a special time. And again, as we go into this Galactic New Year and the Mayan New Year on Sunday, it's really that time of having that starting from ground zero, right? Like it says, where we have this day of timelessness, where we are out of linear time. It's almost like this bubble we get to go into and decide, okay, do I want to continue on the timeline that I'm on right now? Do I want to continue on the trajectory that I'm on right now? Or what am I going to anchor in, right? And so Saturday, I think Saturday and Sunday are both really potent days. Saturday especially as this portal. If you've ever done transcendental meditation or meditation in general, or maybe even breath work, if you've done one of these experiences where you go out of linear time, where you enter into the field of timelessness, that is also, it's called the quantum field. Why? Because that is the field in which we can create anything, right? If you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about a lot of this, right? Going into no-thingness, right? All of his meditations do the same exact thing. They're bringing you into the field of timelessness and the quantum field. And so the ancient Mayans respected this day as a day where the entire day you could be in timelessness, right? Where the whole day you were in the quantum field. So now take that and putting a really intentional container around it, and believe me, they did as well. All the ancient civilizations that practice this, right? This was a day of them allowing themselves to be in the timelessness. This was a day of ceremony, a day of meditation, a day of gathering together, right? And deciding, where are we evolving? Where are we going? What is the next step? This sacred container. And so utilize that this weekend. Like I said, if you are doing this by yourself, then what I recommend is really a lot of meditating on Saturday, and also creating, deciding what is this next timeline that's available. And if you need to use that kind of visual exercise of thinking, what are the different timelines above the one that you're on, so to speak? Above as in, even more expansive, even more joyous, even more abundant. Think of the different versions of timelines, maybe 4 or 5, as many as you can, right? And then see yourself deciding which one you want to anchor into moving forward, right? And getting really clear on what do you have to leave behind, which is what we're going to be doing. The way I have it set up for the retreat on Friday, we're going to go into the Akashic Records. We're going to really get any information we need from other timelines and anchor into and see those up-level timelines, see which timeline we want to anchor into, right? Get really clear on that. Get really clear on that, okay, this is the timeline we're choosing as we go into this day of timelessness. On Saturday, we're getting really clear, okay, this is the timeline we're anchoring into. What does anchoring into a timeline entail, as far as what do we need to release from our current timeline to ascend to this next timeline? What energies, what beliefs, what things, what habits in our life do we need to release so that we can really move forward into this timeline in this weekend? And then also, what do we, what are the practical and strategic plans that we need to do to anchor into this new timeline, right? So we're going to be talking about that on Saturday in this retreat, because it's that's part of it. Like I said, when you're timeline hopping, there is a little bit of a moment where you're watching your current timeline shift away and you're stepping into your new timeline where you need to keep on anchoring yourself into the new timeline and allowing the old timeline to fall away without without going back into it, right? So we'll be talking about that and the practical game plan stuff of how you do that. And so then Sunday is really a day to wake up and be. Like to wake up as the new you, to wake up as the person that has already timelined up. You wake up Sunday and you're in the new timeline. And that's something we're going to be doing in the retreat as well. And I'll be talking about that and really anchoring it in how this new you is now navigating in the world, right? How this new you now handles certain situations in their life, how they show up, how they dress, how they arrange their rooms, right? Anything that's coming up along that. So we're going to do all that. Like I said, I really hope that if you're listening to this and you feel inspired, I know if you're listening to this, it's for a reason. And I'm getting out there pretty last minute, but I just felt so strongly called. I felt like I could not get this out there. And so take the wink, take the hint, jump on the retreat, join us this weekend, click that link below. I hope to see you there. It's going to be epic. Everything's going to be recorded. So if you can't make certain portions of the weekend, or if you're on a different time zone than us, you'll be able to access it after the fact. So definitely utilize that as well. We'll be posting the recordings as soon as we can once they upload afterwards. And yeah, I hope to see you there. And if not, I just hope you take this weekend and really step into this portal and really do your own work on deciding what are you stepping into for this new galactic year and this new timeline that's available to you right now.